Warning, this podcast contains Party Finder takes. Shield and mitigate appropriately.
Welcome everybody to MogTalk episode 310. If you guys are unfamiliar with MogTalk, it's a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community discussing everything from Savage raiding to Chocobo racing. Today, we are definitely going to be pinpointing on Savage raiding as well as Party Finder, and I brought on three amazing guests to help with that topic. Let me go ahead and go in clockwise order, I suppose. Ken, could you tell everybody who you are?
What's up? My in-game name is Snail. I'm a tank main for a world prog group, but I also do a lot of Party Finder, and I stream it, so, yeah.
Okay. Hector?
Hi, I'm Hector. I make guides for the Savage fights and whatnot. And that's really all I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Howdy.
Fair. All right. And Vit?
Hey, what's going on? My name is Vit, and I have been raiding in this game for a while now, and just recently started making YouTube videos about whatever's going on in game and streaming myself as well. So, pretty much it.
You cleared, just to make sure, you cleared week 1 in Party Finder, right?
I did clear week 1 Party Finder. Yep, that was an experience. Cleared week 2 on my alt as well. I think I did, full clear groups on my alt, so I've gotten the full PF experience twice now, so that's been a good time.
Beautiful. And Ken, with being like in the kind of the world race side of things and everything, you have the experience of the kind of trailblazing side, but you also probably have some strats that are happening during like the moment, everything that you kind of pull into. So you have a good perspective in that direction. And Hector, you get to go and explore all the Party Finder strats that are out there and try to curate it into guides for people to digest and later get yelled at for, right?
Oh, I mean, the yelling at happens at all stages, but that's the fun.
Okay. Man, when did you start making guides, Hector? Like, what tier was that, or what fight was that?
I mean, it depends if we're talking private or public.
Well,
I was making
the public one when you started getting yelled at.
First public one was P1S, but that was back in like the free era where I could do anything. I could show absolute garbage strats, but people are just happy that I had funny pictures.
Yeah.
So I did guides throughout all the Pandemonium. I'd say Abyssos is peak Hector ruining Party Finder level.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, your name has been in Party Finder descriptions probably for 3-4 years now, somewhere in there maybe.
Two-ish. I've not ruined it that long.
Okay. I mean, P1. Well, I don't know. Did people use your strat, like put them in Party Finder descriptions in P1 and the first tier?
No. P1 to P4. Mine was just a novelty. Occasionally, people saw it and used it, but I had no influence and assumed that was the case going into like P5 to P8, so I figured I could just do the usual. I'm going to show what I'm going to use for my static. It probably won't get you killed. I have no idea if it's what's best for Party Finder. And yeah, that's a problem if you take that mentality and then people use you as the basis for Party Finder.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. Did you use Hector's guides at all?
This tier?
Well, this
no,
tier,
this
you're
is the
week
first
1.
one I have not, yeah. But I definitely saw them kick in, week 2 or so. having to adjust to all the strats was fun. So I have that experience now. But yeah, in the past I've definitely used them for sure because I was always late to all the previous raid tiers. So
Nice.
this is my first time doing like week 1 stuff.
Okay. And Ken, I guess you do a lot of Party Finder after you do prog. Do you have to go through like guides, like Hector's guides and stuff, in order to do Party Finder?
Honestly, most of the time I just wing it, if I'm being honest. Like, I'll see it says Hector, and like, it can't be like that much different than what I did in prog.
That's what I've been doing too.
Sometimes I'm right, sometimes not so much, but yeah, it's always fun doing PF and then going back to Savage Reclears where like we go back to our prog strats and then I'm like, oh god, I just like built muscle memory in PF strats and now I have to do all the static strats. But yeah.
Oh man. I'll say definitely like in my Discord and everything else with a lot of people, like when I'm watching Twitch and stuff, and I'm like progging through the fights. I cleared early week 3. I had to do the world race and everything, and afterwards I had to like kind of pace my time out. Luckily the world race didn't last that long, so it wasn't too bad. But administratively there's a lot of stuff to deal with it. So I took my time with it, experienced Party Finder for what it is. And it was a trip. This whole tier, dude. Like just the way that people this is the first like major difficult wall for a lot of players who are coming back to this game or haven't really experienced a game at week 1 Savage level yet. So we had a lot of crazy interactions. But before we go too much into Party Finder, I guess it would be good just to talk about the tier in itself and your thoughts on these fights. We had a lot of expectations going into it. It was mixed. I feel like Yoshida was like, hey, we're going to change up everything. We're going to start taking risk with fights. We're going to go crazy with them and all this stuff. But we're going to do that at like 7-1. I think later he clarified 7-1 and onwards. We'll do a little bit in this tier, but we'll do the real crazy stuff later. I feel like we got a taste of it, right? We got a little bit of a taste of maybe a couple of things they would try. But I don't know. Let's start with 1. All right. Do you guys feel like 1 felt like a kind of a creative fight or a newer fight to Final Fantasy, or is it sort of just copy and paste?
1 felt really weird because usually, I've not been raiding for very long. I started like middle of Shadowbringers, but I always felt like the big jump up from Extreme to Savage was even on like a first floor fight. You had that iconic mechanic early on that would just wall people. So like as early back as like Ramu and Eden, there was like 14 spears as like the big, oh crap, I have to do this perfect or I've ruined it for everybody else. And all the way up to like last year with P9S, we had the limit cuts right in the middle of it as that super hard mechanic that really says welcome to Savage.
Devour.
I liked the fight as a whole, but what is there is no iconic this is the mechanic. I guess maybe the knock-up bit during Mouser, but it's not particularly hard. It doesn't really feel or hit the same way they normally do.
The peak for that fight is absolutely when you have 2 cats that are sleeping and they're doing the mimics, right? And they're going one direction or the other. That's the peak part, I think, for Party Finder. Like that's where it's a soft wall though, in comparison to the hard walls. I think we used to, like Lemon Cut was a hard wall. Because you could fuck that up and still keep going, fortunately. But I feel like if there was one, that would be it. And it's funny, half the people who fucking did this fight didn't even know how to solve raining cats.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's
that.
the wall.
Yeah, I think they should have moved raining cats back a bit. Like, I think it's too late in the fight, and like a lot of people can kill before it's even happening. So
We did.
Did
kind of
anyone?
PF like does not know how to do that mechanic. Like they can watch a guy and they still don't know. Like I don't know why, but they just can't do that mechanic.
Yeah.
Did anyone here do raining cats correctly on their first kill?
No, people died.
No.
Yeah, 100%.
I got
like
super
3-5
lucky.
people die, you res through it, and then you kill anyways. Because
We somehow skipped it day 1. I don't know.
I mean, you could if
The
you had
first
good
tethers
players
went off
with
and
you.
then it died.
Yeah.
We just got lucky with a good group in PF, and it died right as the first tethers were going off.
Yeah,
And I
that
didn't know how to
works.
do the mechanic, so
Yeah, that fight.
I mean, like,
there.
I had a rough idea, but you know, had to
Kid,
learn
did you
that
even
one week
see
two
that
for sure.
mechanic in your
Oh,
clear?
we saw it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, in the clear? I'm not sure about the clear, but we hit enrage.
Mm,
So I know we saw it, but
okay.
I'm pretty sure we did not do it cleanly though.
Because it's funny they throw those right at the end. It felt really similar. God, why do I always think about Alexander when I think about comparing fights? But if you go back to like A12S, they had those puddles at the very end of it. They had a whole bunch of heavy mechanics at the end, but a lot of groups just started skipping it, right? And I mean, that was clear. You skip those mechanics and you just don't have to think about it. It is weird they add unique mechanics to the end of the fight. I feel like they should add what you've seen already to the end of the fight, then do an enrage. That way you experience all the mechanics. Whoever created those mechanics has spent time figuring them out. Why did they spend time figuring it out if most people aren't even going to do them or experience them, right?
The funny thing about that fight, though, is that I don't think I've skipped Raining Cats since day one. And somehow,
really?
like, PF just screws up that fight so badly every time. And it's so
Yeah.
recoverable that you can reel it back with, like, I don't know, 15 deaths, you know?
You can for
So
sure.
it's like half the time we just end up getting closer to enrage than we should, but
Nah. I guess the thing that I love about that first fight so much is it's the only fight in a very long time that isn't auto raid wide. It's auto mechanic, right? And
yeah,
so
you gotta do something in the opener.
yeah, and I love it. And you don't have to do too much, right? You just have to position yourself. Like, you have to just put yourself in the right position, then move once or twice, depending on same or different baits, whatever you're doing, right? But I love that. And I complained when I first saw the normal mode of that fight. And I was like, look at it, it's auto raid wide. Wow, so creative, Square Enix. You're really breaking new ground here, you know? And I got shit on so much when everybody saw the full normal mode because they're like, oh, there's some interesting stuff here. And I'm like, yeah, Savage looks so interesting. Then every fucking fight after that, auto raid wide. it's like
Tried and true.
2, 3, and 4. No one tried to do anything interesting except for that first fight in the very beginning. So I got to give it credit for that. And I like that.
M1
like,
is very fun.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it is really fun and interesting in my opinion. I think it's one of the stronger fights.
I think so too.
I'm a big fan of just the quadruple crossing mechanic as a whole. And I'm sure for people that PF this fight, it's the exact opposite. But from somebody who's doing it in a static and coming up with strategies, the idea of there's so much flexibility. There are like a million different ways you could do this very basic mechanic. And it's just pick and choose what's easiest for you. What's best for the classes that you've got in your group is nice. I like that there's so many different adjusts you can do, that the mechanic can go horribly wrong. And if your eyes are open and you know how the mechanic works, you can adjust to deal with how people have screwed it up.
Yeah, it's like a Simon says, sort of, right? But when they say it incorrectly, you have to remember the incorrect part they said, and you go, yeah.
I think that's the
Go
one
ahead.
mechanic that's changed probably the most throughout PF.
Oh, you
Just
think
like,
so?
I think we've done it like 4 different ways since week 1.
Well, so there's same bait, there's different bait, there's inner cardinal, there's
boss relative.
cardinal, boss relative, true north. There's
Yep.
like so many different ways to handle just that one mechanic, right? And I think it's really good. It's a solid mechanic for a fight, and it gives players like some level of precision and accuracy within their movement to change how that mechanic works. So if they mess up a little bit, you just got to kind of remember they messed up and not stand in that messed up part. And so I don't know, got to give that a lot of credit. The half room cleaves, they tried to be a little bit creative there too by putting like that one. I guess there's one spot where you have like, oh, I got to remember this one, then this one, and get over. And then the next half room cleave, it's like, oh, well, stack together in groups too, I guess. How do we make that more difficult?
Throwing in the memory game to it is interesting, though.
I do like,
having to
teleporting
remember
over
if
to the
it's in or
side. It makes it nice, but it's so funny when the tank forgets because everyone's following the tank. They're not fucking remembering themselves, right?
Yeah.
They just get blown up.
You gotta type it in chat to remember.
Yeah.
That's been like the running theme through this whole tier. I don't think I've ever typed in chat more than I have. Every fight's got little memory bits that you've just got to hold on to for a while. And every time I forget to type it in chat like clockwork, that is the time I'm wiping the party.
Yeah.
This is the first time I ever made macros for myself.
I'd love it. Especially too, and we'll get to 2 more later, but like there's a lot of times where you finish up the mechanic, you're like, oh fuck, was it spread or partners? And you just don't know. You look and see how everyone else is moving, but they're looking at you, and then you both just fuck up. It's
There's a lot into
Do you not occasionally do the you know, hedging your bet style? So one of the healers stacks with their partner, the other one spreads, and whoever lives heal LBs?
That's the right choice. You're not wrong. So I need to do that next time. Unfortunately, I think there's a way to give multiple hearts to the boss if you're wrong in that one too, and it's pretty.
I think the real strat is you have an extra chat tab open and it has the combat log, and then you can read. You know, it says spread or drop.
Well, but they don't put it in there. Everyone forgets.
Well, the cast is in the log, but yeah.
Is it? Oh, you mean that log? Oh, I never fucking.
Yeah, like in your chat. Yeah.
You might have to sort it by just like boss casts or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
But not all of them. Anyways, let's. I keep diving into the future fights. Let's go back to M1. All right. And I guess the tile part is I think what got most people excited for that fight when they first saw that in normal, right? And the tiles are pretty good. I think they're very simple, especially in the mouser section. I guess, they're not really that difficult once you figure out you just stand at one corner and look at the other corner. You got it. No matter what, you got it, right? But people still fuck that up, and they always find a way to kill everybody by falling on the platform with everybody. And I know Square Enix knew that was going to happen.
It's very funny every time, too.
Yeah.
It's a very well-designed comedic effect.
My favorite thing is I can't tell you how many times that's happened, and then someone just says, bro, like in chat, like immediately after. Just they're always like, bro, come on, man. And it's so good because that's one of the few, like, you 100% wipe the group moments, right? You can still survive it. If you see they fuck up, the party can move, but the party has to be paying attention, right?
Breaking the floor gets really bad for the knockbacks afterwards, too, though. If you can't get knocked to the right corner, everybody has to go to one side and it gets a little tight.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine, because... Go ahead.
Actually, I don't think I've seen a party wipe during Messer now that I think about it, which is kind of surprising. I have seen panels break, but it's only been like individual people.
Wow, you're on the wrong show. You've not done Party Finder, dude. No way.
Yeah, Master's been pretty chill for me, too. You must just be getting unlucky.
I guess I'm just shit. I mean, I've killed the party once before. That was when I was first learning it. But I've done a lot of... Well, I do a lot of clear groups, like, all the time. That's all I do prog and clear groups a lot. And so people just really don't know how the mechanics work. And they mess it up. And you got to be careful, too, because if you're at, like, you have it planned out, then you turn to the boss really quick, you'll fucking, like, edge over into the wrong side. I think it's solid. I think solid phase mechanic in general. I like it. There is thought to it, but you could take away a lot of the thought with a strategy. I kind of wish you couldn't just stand in the corner.
I kind of hate that strat.
Yeah.
If we're being honest.
I wish it wasn't possible. I feel... It wasn't an oversight. They meant for that to be possible, I'm pretty sure, because it's like the exact distance, right?
I have one really big complaint about that, and it's when people started doing that, I was still trying to look at the clone to see what it was going to do, but when they drop it in the middle, the clone stacks directly on top of the boss model, and you can't see if it's going to do the uppercut or the slam.
Oh.
So fuck it, go in the corner anyways.
Right?
Yeah, no, I know that this was still like week 1, maybe week 2, before that was like super common, I guess. and I wasn't really aware that you could just stand in the corner because I was still doing it the intended way.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't like see the actual clone because it's on top of the boss, and that was a bit frustrating. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it's very easy just to stand in the corner.
one tile kind of kills the mechanic, but more so the first version. The fact that it's role-based, meaning that as soon as you see that a DPS is targeted, you are basically playing a training dummy and kind of rotating to be a diagonal from the other player, and otherwise it's like 45 seconds of nothing for you. The second version with the nail chipper and the line stack mix-up, a lot more fun, and as a healer, a lot more engaging because there's damage going out, you need to position more accurately.
I mean, it's engaging because I'm screaming at my screen at the DPS standing with the healers, but I mean, sometimes we live through it because, you know, it just doesn't aim it at that guy or whatever, but like, yeah, it's, that is such a fucking frustrating mechanic when you're first going through the like prog part because you're just like, I can't do it. Well, you could rescue him. I guess you could like run over to the side, rescue him to the spot, run back over. But as a healer, because I did this on all healers, so that's my main perspective on these fights, is that you are just like squeezed and sandwiched in there between the tank and the DPS, and you're just like, please fucking God, both of you guys get to your spots. Because you could, the healer, actually now that I think about it, maybe the healer should have been on the side. Because they, more of a chance they live if something goes wrong.
DPS middle would have been the ideal because those are the 4 people guaranteed who are not paying attention whatsoever that you want sat right in the middle. They don't need to think, they don't need to look which side they're going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's more of them, so they can, you know, get
It's
it right
true.
collectively.
Well, there's more of them on the other side too. Yeah, it's I don't know. And I think what was the other part about this fight I really love too is the floor markings. So incredibly useful for like every single mechanic. Standing at the right, you know, angle to be knockback, standing at the right side for like the split, knowing exactly where the clones are going to go too, because there's this little square where they're going to jump to every single time. They made a lot of really good use out of the floor, and so that made it super easy too. Or at least after you realize where everything's going, right? It becomes a lot easier.
I'm always a huge fan of any time that the game doesn't make me have to guess if I'm going to be in an AoE, where the floor markings make it just crystal clear. This is where it's going to hit. Stand here, and you're not dead.
Yeah, yeah. And I will note, I love that on 4 too. On like the 2 big explosions on the side. There's a line you just don't cross, and you're safe no matter what, as long as you're behind it. But yeah, sorry, jumping ahead again.
No. Was anybody else a little bit disappointed with Mouser, the red tile appearing mechanic?
100%. Like with the cast, cast of it. Yeah, 100%.
It was the coolest thing in normal mode, because normal mode's kind of just a blend. Oh, there's a couple half arena cleaves, and then Mouser hits, and red tiles are flying everywhere. And because you're not expecting it, it's almost overwhelming. It's whoa, what's going on? Oh God, somebody's gonna eat dirt the first time that happens.
Yeah,
and then it happens in Savage mode, and it's slightly more evolved, but everybody within like 2-3 pulls figured out, oh, I could just step to the side, or step to the side and then forward.
Yeah.
And that was it. It's so
to back over,
rudimentary.
You know? Yeah.
It's the patterns.
Pretty much the same as normal, right?
Well, I actually don't have any clue how normal works, but...
I only ever stand on the 2 inner tiles, north or south.
So I animated the whole normal mode version of Mouser in preparation just in case they copy-pasted it so I could use it in the guide. And it is very similar. Normal mode is 3 tiles hit, then 2 tiles hit for 8 rounds. This is 3 tiles hit, then 2 tiles hit for 10 rounds. And that's the only difference. And because there's the pattern, the ones hit are even more consistent because there's only the 2 patterns. It's a really, really simple solve.
Yeah.
It's why everybody figured it out so quickly.
Like in normal mode, they can hit like both east melee distance tiles, but in Savage, it always goes diagonal. So once you know one spot, you already know the other one, which makes it very easy. Also, like, I don't know why in Savage, like always, like the southwest one is always safe. Like, they should have mixed it up, I think. I don't know why they just let that.
If they just
happen?
rotated it, like occasionally
yeah.
take the whole same pattern, rotate it 90 degrees or 180 degrees even, and you have something more than just always stand in the exact same starting tile and move one direction.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of basic.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it would have turned into a follow the leader anyways, but like it could have been a little bit more interesting. It really could have.
The enrage sequence is a really cool version of that. I haven't like analyzed it, but I don't know. I thought that was a neat enrage at least.
Oh yeah.
Similar
This,
mechanic.
Cool.
They've been missing this for ages. This was because I started writing in Eden's Verse, and that was the thing I came to expect, that every enrage is going to be like a cool twist on a mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Back when we're going to do 14 spears, but you can't knock away the spears. We're going to do Conflag Strike, where you need to get behind the boss, but the boss is in the wall, so you can't get behind the boss.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that for basically every fight, and then it disappeared over an expansion. I thought that was really creative that we went back to the unique enrages.
Yeah. Seeing all the people fall as the enrage is good. I like that. It makes it feel more, I don't know, real, if that makes any sense. I don't know, it feels like a fight. So
you still have to dodge it while enrage is happening too, which is cool.
I mean, do
kind
you?
of, like until you die. I've had to, yeah.
I mean, you just hit your heal buttons over and over, you take whatever. I mean, you could. I mean, it's pretty much over. I mean, sort of. I don't know. I've never hit an enrage where it was very close there. It's always been really far off, or like, you know, really quick, like we're gonna kill it in 2 seconds kind of situation.
Yeah, I had 1 or 2 stressful ones there.
Okay. And then, okay, what this fight also? What was the knockback you were talking about that was really hard to like you could easily F it up and fall off? I feel like, do you guys like that kind of tightness, or do you hate that kind of tightness with the knockbacks? Like after the Mouser phase, whatever, and it rebuilds everything and knocks you back into the rebuilds.
I don't know about you guys. I liked it. Yeah. I mean, it's probably the most consistent place where even in re-clears, we still have deaths.
Yeah.
Where somebody's a little bit off positioned and they get knocked off and they die. It's nice because it's recoverable afterwards. So it's not like it ruins the run because somebody was a pixel off. But if you don't want to die and ruin your parts, then you've got to make sure you're in the right spot.
I'll let you know. Go ahead, Ken. Sorry.
It's like a kind of a recurring theme in this raid tier that like there's knockbacks, like that knockback, the towers in M3, there's the tail in M4, and if you go too close to them, then it can really knock you off angle. So I think a lot of people get baited into like standing really close to the knockback, and then they just fly off the edge because like they're just too close to it. The angle is off.
Yeah.
So I think people need to like not edge,
so
not get as close to the.
don't say that sentence would have ended horribly. All right. But yeah, the squares, the 2 squares. There's the 1 square that's right next to it, right? Then there's 1 more out. If you get to that second one, it's usually about good enough. Maybe the third one. The first one is where people go a lot of times, that little tiny square, and it kills them every single time. And it's so funny because either like when it happens, I'm looking at who's falling, and I laugh every time. I can't not laugh if I see someone fall. I don't know what it is. But I see them fall, but I also see people just disappear because they're charging right back in immediately, and the model just disappears so fucking quick. Dude, I'm like, did they die and fall off? I don't know. You have to actually look at the party list to find out for sure, but yeah.
I feel like everybody dashing back in and then trying to spread is what kills us more often than being knocked off the platform.
Yeah.
I've gotten overlapped so many times as a melee there by like a ranged that decided to move in.
And it's perfect because like it's just enough to not like frustration to not really talk about, because people can kind of just eyeball it and make it work. But they don't want to waste time to put priorities to it because people don't die enough to it. But you're still going to have it happen because people don't talk about it, right? It's just kind of making it work in a moment. And I like that in a fight, right? I like having to react to what other people are doing and try to stay alive. But
some of that stuff should be pretty intuitive, like just go towards your clock spot, I guess.
Yeah.
In theory.
In theory.
There's always a tank on top of me for some reason, but...
Yeah. All right. Well, what else about 1? Do you guys feel like is worth
Nail
bringing up?
chipper? That's
Nail
probably
chipper
one of the
is
other
probably
worst parts of the fight.
That is
Pretty
the
good.
hardest one of the hardest mechanics in the fight for sure. And it's a mix of like mitigation and a mix of like maybe your priority is going to change and if you have to bait
It's the
first or not.
spacing too. It's the max melee, trying not to kill your partner
Yeah.
while still greeting.
Lightning shot. Yeah.
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 This is definitely the
That's
tier
fine.
of just playing things safe and like not
Yeah.
greeting anything. And
True.
you'll do a whole lot better with prog and clearing fights.
Yeah. Every time I have to cast a hard shield, I get a little bit upset, but I'm like, it's the right way to go. Last time they died without it, maybe they'll die this time, and then no one's health goes down. I get so pissed because like everybody decided to use their mech because someone died last time.
Nail Chipper is consistently the one where I go, I can get away without shielding. It'll be fine. And the first hit goes off, and I know there's a second one coming and go, oh, nope, we were supposed to shield there.
Yeah. You know what's also interesting from a healer perspective on a lot of these fights is that a lot of mechanics, the damage goes out in little phases, right? So you don't have, when people's HP goes down, you don't have to heal it up, right? They're not going to get hit next time. Another group of people are going to get hit next time. And it seems to be a little consistent with some of the fights, is that it's supposed to stop you from panic healing because you're just going to waste your AoE heals when you could have just waited until everyone took damage, then heal everybody up. So I've noticed that a good bit too, and I feel like that's a decent design to like separate the good and the bad healers, right? Because there's been so many times where people take damage from the first hit and then they're full health immediately. I'm like, all right, well, all those heals could have fucking gone to the other 4 people after it comes out here in a second. But yeah, man, I'll let you know. I think turn 1. Probably one of my favorite fights of this entire tier out of the rest of them. You know, there's things I like about the other ones, but as a fight itself, as in its place, as a first fight and how it feels and everything else, I would put it as like the top rank of what they should have done with this fight. It's also one of the fights that took the longest in the world race in comparison to the rest of them, which is kind of sad. But yeah, what do you guys think?
I think I'd agree with you there. It hit the mark for a first tier. It was that nice step up in difficulty. It's my experience with it is after having done it with the static, it was the one that I grabbed FC friends and dragged them into and said, "Come on, you haven't done Savage before. Let's have some fun with this."
Yeah.
And it's that perfect difficulty level where it is a struggle for them and it's a real challenge to figure it out, but it's also right at that level where they can get into high-end content.
Yeah.
And so for what a first tier is supposed to be, I think it hits the mark perfectly.
Yep. And you don't need a perfect rotation. You don't need, like, you have a lot of space in the damage. All right, there's a lot of learning to go on, and they can start to work out their rotation as they go along through it. And this is what I would want to see in future first turns, to be honest with you. This is kind of the level of it.
It's worlds better than like P1S.
Yeah.
I would even say P9. I think I like P5 more personally.
What was P1 again? P1 was
Arachidonius.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Too slow.
AFK for like 3 minutes at a time, and now it's time to do the blue and red crystal mechanic. AFK again, and now it's fourfold shackles, which is one of the walls, but is also 30 seconds of AFK.
Yeah.
Stand on your marker.
And the other part is that this fight, they had a lot of tanks moving the boss around. All right, and I feel like that was missing in a lot of fights before too. It does recenter itself, but there is a lot of finesse with the tanks being in the right spot for the clones and everything else. So man, they really did a good job with it.
A good tank makes worlds of difference on that one clone mechanic with the 2. A tank that's positioned it right where the clone's gonna go, and the party's clearing it. A tank who has the boss on the other side, and you're wiping.
Yeah, because it
I
kills
even remember
damage
early
and
on,
everything. Huh?
The tank for the one clone that you have to bait the Proteans on. If that's not positioned like perfectly centered, I remember that's happened a number of times, and it's just like everybody's fighting to hit the boss and baiting Proteans the wrong way.
And
you can still get through it, but it gets messy.
Yeah, for sure. All right. And then we ran into turn 2, which is the most anticipated fight in the entire tier, from coming from normal to this. Everybody was looking forward to this fight. It was just the the pop star B Southern accent, like just crazy thing with hearts everywhere, heart meters, and all that stuff. Did it live up to expectations? Do you guys think? From what the general community was wanting?
Fight.
It's a bad fight.
No, sorry, I hate that fight so much.
I actually really like this fight so much.
I like this one too.
I'm not a fan.
No, you're not a
Do I think it's a good fight? I don't know. Is it entertaining? Yes.
When the hardest mechanic is literally copy-pasted from normal mode, and it's hard just because it is just AoEs going wherever.
I love it.
It's the hardest mechanic in the game.
I love it so much because I love frustration, right? I love moments of frustration in fights, and this is an incurable frustration for everybody. Like there is no easy solution that at least has really come up yet for that phase, and I think it's one of the most interesting talking points for me is how they made that mechanic be not super easy to just solve and there's not a brain dead method really for it, and that's just so appealing to me that they were able to do that, but it may be out of place on the second turn, but I don't know. I feel like the second turn's always the one that gets like creative, or like they throw some crazy shit in there, right? And so let's
definitely creative. You got to give it that, with the hearts healing the boss and
well, I mean
everything else. I don't know. It's
there's a
that one's rough.
let me do this. Let me have you guys just tell me your general thoughts on the fight, things that you want to just mention on the fight, and then we'll go off of that instead of me ramping that up.
Well, let's go here because I hate this so passionately. It does everything wrong that I think should not be in a Savage fight. It's not that the mechanics don't have a place in it, because I loved them in normal mode. Because if it's a 6-minute fight where people dying left and right means that now I get to actually stay awake during my normal raid, then sure, I'm all for it. But if I'm going to spend 9 minutes on a fight where I've got to be really focused and pay attention to hard mechanics later on in the fight, then 3 minutes, 4 minutes in, having just random AoEs go burr as the wall of the fight where I might ruin my parts or I might be on no MP for the rest of the fight because of this is for me the opposite of fun. And that they do it twice, that you've got the random slow moving hearts, which are especially irritating if you're a melee that needs to stack. And then again with the bees, it's just frustration. It reminds me of the parts of Barbaricia Extreme that I hated, which is after all of the fun creative mechanics, they go, we run out of ideas. Just dodge, and there'll be some stacks and pairs randomly.
Right.
Not what I want in a fight.
Okay.
The thing with the stack during the hearts is that you just have to make sure that you steal enough of the towers to get 3 hearts so you don't have to be in the stack, and it makes that mechanic so much easier.
Dude, it is all... I'm like sitting there with 0 hearts, and some motherfucker with 2 hearts comes by and tries to take a ranged tower from me. It's like a melee, just like coming back and forth, like trying to... I'm like, what are you doing? Come on.
It's a Viper, he has uptime, he has coils. Yeah.
It's so shitty. And you have to like jump in the tower, like, no, I'm staying here, please go away.
When you're in that stack with the hearts around you, there's so much visual clutter, you can't see those hearts at all. You can't, like, between your spell effects, the hearts, the stack marker, some of the center and outer stage combo that comes right afterwards as well, like, everything's just pink. You can't see anything. It's one of the worst
It's a
parts.
mess. I did this mostly as healer and didn't hate the heart thing because at least they got rid of the annoying puddles under players from normal mode, but then tried a single run to help out a friend static while doing it as tank, and how much more horrendous that is to be in the middle with the hearts an inch away from you, pink just everywhere. It's like, it reminded me of Phoenix. But take orange and replace it with pink. Same thing.
Yeah.
So, like, you guys didn't do the cheese strat where you just put a tank in the middle and just spam all the hearts on them?
No, I have too much respect for my tanks.
Okay.
Well, you heal the boss and give her damage. So
I mean, just one time.
Yeah.
Just one time, that's
Stack,
it.
Yeah.
Did you just cheese the rest of it?
Some PS can't kill it with 1 stack, you know?
I mean, that is absolutely true. A lot of PFs couldn't kill it with 0 stacks. So, I mean, this is the first DPS wall for people who are getting into Savage, I think. The first one didn't exist too much, but this did exist. And most people who did this with, like, a good group, they're like, no, it's no DPS check. But Party Finder, 100%. This is a DPS check, and the reason why is because everyone fucks up their rotation trying to do the mechanics, and so the normal player can't pump out damage because they're too freaked out about dodging hearts and actually dodging beads. And so it really roughs up a lot of it.
I think I saw enrage like 7 times on this before we cleared it. It was kind of brutal.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw it a lot. And we're like, oh yeah, just don't get any hearts, we're fine. And then we die, like we hit enrage, and we had no hearts, and we're like, I guess we just disband this fucking group. I don't know what else to do, dude.
Yeah.
If you guys can't do it without any hearts. Oh, Jesus. All right. Let's dive in a little bit more critical, I guess. Like, one of the main mechanics is spread or stack, right? Drop or splash. And, they spell it out to you at the very beginning. It's decently hard hitting when you're in early gear, too. And you either pair it with just spread in one set of AoE, or you spread in a different set of AoE, vice versa with stack, right? And it's just throughout the whole thing. And the trick is later they just F you over with the stored mechanic like we were talking about before. And this is where many times groups wipe because no one types it in chat.
That's the hardest part of the fight for me. Just trying to remember it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what I like about this kind of stuff is it puts that extra emphasis on you get more clears if you take control and you be the person who puts it in chat and you be that person who has the macro. If you're doing that, likely you're gonna get more clears overall if you just get good at that extra function and doing that extra thing. Versus the people who depend on everyone else, right? And so it's something outside of your general role that you do that is a skill that a lot of people might not think about in MMOs. Just going that extra little bit. And so it is
typing the call out in.
Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, just typing the call out in is probably my favorite off global cooldown as a healer.
Yeah. And I type it in every time. I don't use a macro. Although I've seen some really creative macros, but I just love it. I don't know what it is. I just like, I type it in. Oh, well, I got 2 seconds. Easy. I type 200 words a minute, dude. I'm fine. All right, it's okay. But like, it is. I misspell stuff every once in a while. It's okay. No one really cares. They get it. Do you type it in, Hector? Actually?
Oh yeah, literally, it's dosis pair. Though it normally comes out as like pajer or. Left caboose for left knockback when I'm trying to do it in M4S.
Yeah, I do R safe, L safe for if it's the fire, and then RKB, LKB if it's the knockback. So
y'all are crazy.
I am in week 4, and I have not thought to write R instead of right.
I mean, it's pretty obvious you say R, but yeah.
I just don't trust myself to do the macros for the party, so I just have like an echo macro for myself.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you actually the echo macro is pretty smart, right? You press
then I can screw it up or forget it, and we don't wipe.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Because if somebody's doing it and they forget to press the macro, you're gonna wipe. Like, everybody's relying on you to press that button.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. You're the person who goes the extra mile, and you're helping them clear. But yeah, I guess
I don't feel confident doing that on melee though.
Probably.
I got too many buttons to push during that.
Yeah.
I play on controller too, so it's
well, no,
I mean,
you have a
easy
controller,
enough
then
to
you have a
press a
keyboard,
macro.
right? Yeah, you just put it down real quick, type, pick it back up, you're good to go.
Yeah, while doing Dragoon Burst, sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, okay, so they did that, and then they went into the heart phase where you're dodging the hearts, and that is absolute bullshit, man. It is tough as fuck to dodge those hearts at some moments, but I think there are like safe patterns. Like I feel like I'm starting to get into this groove to where I kind of know if I stand right here, the hearts are going to go by me and I'll be safe until I realize the stack's on the other fucking side of the boss.
Yeah.
Right?
Classic.
And I always say, hey, just go south or whatever. We'll just go south. It's okay. We'll go south and we'll do that. But for some reason, everybody's fucking north half the time. And it's always... And it's funny because it'll always be 3 or 4 of the 2 hearts standing together and 1 2 heart like on the other side, and it always targets that guy on the other side. And of course somebody runs into a heart on the way. And
There is 1 heart of leeway, so technically if you know that no one got hit and that everyone's in the stack except for you and you're only missing 1 heart, you could technically just stay
until you're the stack.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
And then you gotta go to the other side, you know?
they don't go to everybody's
Yeah, you definitely
chasing
need a
down the
bit of-
stack.
Bit of pre-planning there to try to get to everybody with the same number as you, ideally, but PF
More
organizing
importantly,
that.
making
luck.
sure that the player who is most likely to eat a heart because they cannot dodge to save their life, that they're the ones on low that has the extra heart leeway.
Yeah.
Leaving them on 1 heart.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, dude. Like I can't tell you how many times that happens. And as soon as you see that stack pop up that early, everyone's thinking, do we wipe? Right? Do we just go ahead and wipe? It's early in the fight. Do we just go ahead and wipe and get a clean pull past that phase? Because you can do it. It's not that hard. And when those mistakes happen, you're like, it's kind of shitty to just keep going, and you see that buff on there for the rest of the fucking fight, right? It's that discouraging little buff on the boss that you're like, it's going to be 1% harder now. We have that much less room for mistakes. We have that much less of everything. Which
I feel pretty good with like 1, maybe 2 stacks. We can get it done, but anything more than that, you should probably just reset it.
No, yeah, you should, but I mean, like, the thing is you might get 1 stack later, right? And so
Yeah.
it's basically
Then
like
it's
an
over.
easy 1 stack to avoid. And you're like, it's early in the fight. Do we continue, or do we try to get a clean pull here so we can make mistakes later on? So...
I hate that 1 stack because it immediately takes away that comfort zone of, we could survive that. Because as soon as you get 1 stack on now, it messes with the mental math of, do I need to shield this? Can we be okay with this? And you end up having to shield everything just to be safe in case you're
Yeah.
missing a single mitt.
Yeah.
Some of those
frustrating.
stack spreads later into the fight start to really hurt.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I'm going to give credit to a part of this fight, I really love the design of the first set of towers. The total randomness to how many hearts players have, to where the towers are going to show up, that is very much, it's slow enough that it is comfortable enough that you can adjust. It's not like the chaos of the other sort of random mechanics, but it requires you to use your eyes more than normally a Savage fight might expect normally.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what's the best way to spread out the hearts, how do you go, who's going to dive out to take that heart, the range,
always
who's like, no, I got this, I'm
harder
going to take these
for-
2 hours right next to each other.
That seems harder for the ranged for sure, because I usually just try to stay like in my quadrant on melee, but
I can't
I
tell you
always see
how
the
many
ranged like
times.
running around the
Yeah,
outside.
you can just go anywhere as a melee.
Yeah. The failed range towers that happen so often because you're like, I'm the only person over here. I'll get this side. I'll make sure it's good. And then you just don't notice there's one way on the other side, and everyone has 3 hearts over there, so no one's going for it, right? And then it drops, fucks the whole run. It's done. As soon as one of those towers hit, it's pretty much done. And so I've been in a couple parties where we've wiped over it,
Yeah,
and
it's definitely a ranged mechanic.
yeah, and people fight over those towers so much. And again, I get so pissed when I'm sitting there with 0 hearts and this effer with 2 hearts is over there just trying to get the tower next to me. And I'm like, what is wrong with you two? And they
don't wanna
Well,
go
the
to
worst
that.
is when the ranged try to take the melee towers, and then a ranged
Yeah.
tower shows up right behind you.
Yeah,
It's like, okay.
yeah.
Well, what happens often is like the range has already taken all the towers, and the only options available left for me are the melee towers. But the melee's still trying to get 3 hearts too, and I have to like get in there and like say, "Hey, no, go away, melee! I know it's close to the boss, but I need a heart." And I have to type in chat, "Please give priority to 0 hearts and towers," so it's not a horrible mess. Because if you have, what is it? I think if you have 1 heart, I think you could still get away with it maybe, but if you have no hearts, it's an RNG if it's going to mess up, right? Because I don't think how it assigns hearts is static. It literally just throws them wherever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
It's supposed to divvy them up to the lowest heart player. Where it gets a little bit janky is on the 2-stack one because of server ticks. That sometimes it doesn't record you as having picked up the first heart before it tries to give the next one. So there have been cases of somebody missing one and it giving more hearts than you expect it to. 0 hearts, if you've got a 0 heart and a 2 heart, it should work out fine every time to give the 3 and the 1.
But if you have, let's say, I don't know, I don't know what the right answer to. I've seen it happen though. I've seen it where people were mismatched in there, and it has actually gone to 4 hearts. I can't remember what the combination was though. I don't know if it was like everybody had one person. If a 3-stack was in there, I don't know why they were in there at all. But anyways, it's been wonky every once in a while for me. But then immediately after this, like that's like a whole circus and everyone trying to figure out everything, a little bit of PvP with who gets what tower sometimes. Then you get into like the hardest phase of the entire fight, which is the B dodging, which everybody's complaining about. And have you guys even seen like a strategy be even slightly more consistent than another strategy or anything like that?
Mario Kart, where the tank just runs as fast as possible and is very confident.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to be very confident
out.
in your movement. If you're not confident in your movement, it's not good.
And as a melee, you really have to stay like with the tank in front of the boss. If you drag behind at all, you're gonna die probably.
And then the latency doesn't help, right? So if you're following the tank too, and they move, and then they barely dodge it, you're gonna get hit because you're not responding.
You just
quick
have
enough,
to
right?
watch. That's definitely a use eyes mechanic.
Yeah.
Nothing I love more as a caster than running a semicircle around the entire arena to avoid clipping somebody with a
Save
bee.
all of your toxicons for that. All right. Make sure your dot renewal's in there.
Yeah.
That whole mechanic is confirmation bias, the mechanic. The strategy that works best for somebody is the one that they did one time and it worked really well, and now they're convinced that is the big brain way. That's the only reason anybody does Mario Kart is they do it once and they're like, oh hey, the bees didn't murder me. This must be perfect. Same with people doing that.
Patterns still, yeah.
It's Mario Kart into Mario Party.
Yeah.
It's just a free for all afterwards.
And we were talking about on the tiles, we wish it had more patterns. This one, we wish there was some pattern at all with any of it, right?
16 factorial?
Yeah. 16.
Sorry.
We're starting math class up now, are we?
Yeah, no, I mean, this was literally when I was trying to justify myself why Mario Kart was felt like it was murdering me as much as any other mechanic. I'm literally mapping it out and doing the math of the probability of a certain bee completely screwing you over, and it's the same thing. It does not matter where you are. You can stack everybody together, and there are less bees that will kill you, but when they kill you, they kill everyone. Or you can spread everyone out, and there are more bees that will kill you, but when they kill you, they kill one person. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I tried to look it up too, and like tried to put everything on a map or whatever, and the AOE's, and like what's the like you could run across all the way to the other side, and maybe that'll work. But if it's like straight at you from that other side, you got to pick it, like which one you're gonna go to. So there's probably like some zigzag baiting method you could use, but it's so overly complicated, it's not worth it. It's better just to use your eyes and dodge it, and like every single one. And Party Finder hates it. If you guys remember P12S, use eyes, straight out the window, right? It's the worst thing you could do.
I think every single group during Prague was like testing a different strat for it, and just none of them worked any better. Yeah. I think the YOLO strat, where you keep it in the middle, is probably the worst one as a melee. Like, it's so hard to keep up time trying to do that. That is miserable.
That one clip that came out that showed a single group getting some lucky baits and it working successfully has doomed everyone. Everyone's like, it's fine. Just go around in a circle. It works perfectly. I've seen a clip.
Wait for 4 bees, bait them in the middle, and then you're good, right?
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Hey, I did it, and we didn't have anyone die for one pool. But they didn't work as well for the rest of them. But it's such a sigh of relief when you're done with it, and everyone's alive. You're like, holy crap, we did it, and everyone's amped. And you're like, all right, let's do this fight. We're gonna clear it now, right? Because everything else
feels good when
afterwards
you
is
get
pretty
it, yeah.
like straightforward. Nothing else is nearly as complicated or as
You would
stressful.
think.
Well,
With the
Defamation towers.
the
Yep.
defamation towers, they aren't that bad.
They're easy.
I mean, it's straightforward. You get a debuff that's short, big. You go out first, or you don't go out first, right? You get a tower, you don't get a tower. I will say that people forget where their towers are supposed to be sometimes, but I don't have people mess up on that nearly as much as everything else.
It's gotten better
you guys-
since Prague.
For you guys that do PF, what's PF Party Finder doing for the defamations?
I mean, it's from my
The
experience.
shrug.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like
a melee. I go to the inner card. I don't know what the supports are doing.
it's like they'll
They're
declare.
typically on their clock spot, I think. but
Yeah, clock
I
spot
have
works
no idea.
perfectly fine, right? Because clock spots, you'll always be evenly spaced.
It's
no
always
matter what.
consistent.
Yeah. If it's not clock spots, then everybody goes to cardinal, or everybody goes to inner
There's room
cardinal.
for
or whatever.
interpretation if you don't do clock spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're doing clock spots, then are they having the off tank go east then?
Yeah, that's
And-
the
and
awkward
they-
thing.
Mm.
And the
Sometimes.
healer goes south. That's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but just then you definitely do that for clock spots.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause the off tank's been going northeast the whole fight.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people don't realize like when you say clocks in that fight, like both tanks are going to be north for that like line spread or whatever. So like really you should be putting the tank on east or west depending on if you're rotating clockwise or counter. And I think it messes people up a lot on the beat 3 towers because they they just go to the wrong section.
You just
'cause, like the
color
the
code
tank
it.
is northwest and then or northeast. And then, yeah.
The color code works pretty well for that. I think like I've had multiple groups where the tanks are like, what, get to your east-west spot, healer. Why are you over here? Tanks are south. And every single time, because it's so just jarringly different for what tanks are used to in their positioning that I've had to do it multiple different ways into position.
That's why we stand on the marker at the start of the fight.
Yeah, I like that
Yeah,
too.
good old NA, you know.
Yeah. Make it very
This-
clear at the beginning. Just like put some markers down. This is your tower.
Yeah.
This is one of the small things I wish I could take back with part of my guide that I never thought of the fight in terms of clock spots throughout the whole thing up until the very end with Roddenhart. As the only time, every other time, it's like I'm gonna go to my corner. I have a corner and I have my color, and because you never really have to go to your clock spot. When you go to your corner for like the spread, when it's the tempting twist, it's just kind of slightly left right. You're not actually going on to clock spots. You don't really do clock spots for towers because they're not really on it. And so the only time I ever thought of clock spots was at Roddenhart, and at that point in time, it's like, who cares where you go? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're standing around in a circle. Go to the clock spots you're comfortable with from every other fight in the game.
Yeah.
So I
think
had
with the defamations in general, there's enough leniency within how big they are that even if people are a little bit off and they're a little bit closer together, it usually doesn't wipe the group. If I remember right, yeah.
there's tons of room. You could be intercardinal to cardinal next to each other, and it's just fine. But it's the panic factor that comes
You're
in
right.
when you see somebody that looks a little too close.
Yeah. Somebody was saying something, I interrupted him. Who was it?
Hector.
Hector.
Me, yeah, sorry. I was just saying that in terms of, I suggested healers east-west just as like it's the end of the fight. Who cares? And I hadn't used clock spots for anything else. And I did not envision people keeping those clock spots and then applying clock spots to other mechanics where it's just not the right thing to do. Having the off tank south is really weird if you're going to use it for defamations.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, they figure it out at the end, I guess. The healing is stressful there because if people miss their mitts, then as a healer, you're just, do I shield or do I not shield, right? Do I do good damage or do I?
Damage.
Yeah, so you just shield every single time in Party
Quite
Finder
a few times.
because people just die.
Especially if you have a stack or two. Like,
Yeah.
the odds are you're just gonna die to damage if your healer's not paying attention.
Yeah. Or your melee's not hitting their feint. Vit.
Faints are cool.
Not bad. Not bad. Actually, I like that about this fight. There's the end of beat 2 and beat 3. There's like the spreader stack into the raid wide, and it's like you have like 10 seconds in between each of them. So like you really need to be ready to like heal, or you need to like put mitt on it. And like since mitts are 15 seconds now, most of them, like you can catch both of them. So yeah, I think they did that pretty good.
They've been pretty good with. I mean, they increased the timers to try to make that make sense with I think a lot of mechanics. But there's some key spots where Mitt's just like super strong if you hit it at the right spot. I've seen a lot of
longer
M3
Mitt
too.
timing on feint, addle, everything. That's been fun. To try to optimize that comes into play on a lot of the fights.
Yeah. You know, now that I think about it, Rotten Heart is probably one of the first like hard walls intense of like body checks and doing mechanics correctly where one person can wipe everybody because the vulnerability up, right? And so like if someone does it too early or too late, then it kills the whole party because of the AoE afterwards. So we didn't really see that in 1 at all, or I think in 2 where there's just like a tight, like one person messes up, the whole it's just over. So I think at the very end of 2 is the first time we start seeing that, at least in this tier. But yeah, I think
it's always good when people just forget to go in and then they just fall over.
Yeah,
but it's just like one person.
Yeah,
I think somebody dies and the other person gets like a paralyzed or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do the mechanic.
Yeah, and well, the vulnerability. Well, I can't remember what it was. There's something. Is it like when you hit it, you get the vulnerability? Like if you do it too late, you get a vulnerability on, and then the follow-up AoE kills you? Is that right?
Yeah, it's when you pop, when alpha and beta meet, you get a vuln, and it lasts just long enough that it's always the first one's the one that catches people, because that's the tight one.
You're right.
You take the big damage from Rotten Heart, and you all have to check your timers and figure out, oh, I'm the short one. If you are on 4 seconds or less on your debuff when you pop, you get murdered by the next raid wide. And we've had that happen where we went, wait, what? I thought we were fine, and it's because literally the vuln was falling off, but it just snapshots and catches you still on the raid wide, and the Call Me Honey murders the whole group. Yeah. And the rest of the whole mechanic, it's quite lenient. It really is. You got a good 5-second window of no damage to do whatever you want, but that first one catches you out because it's just so fast.
Yeah, and in chat, they said if you're late, don't break it. Just sack one person. Party Finder, that's not a thing. You're like, oh, I'm late? Well, let me do my mechanic really quick, and maybe it'll still work out, right? That's always that. And then you kill the party. There is no sacking in Party Finder like that.
Uh,
Sack one person's fine as long as that one person's not you.
That's true.
Yeah. If it's me, then no, I'm not sacking.
What actually I actually don't even know. What happens if it runs out?
So I think it's alpha dies, beta gets paralyzed, which is hilarious that it's like a 50-50 of am I going to get murdered or just kind of annoyed.
Right. Which, it's a good enrage. I think that enrage in general, I like it a lot. And at the very end, just blast everybody with hearts to just jump the HP way up. And
it's a good enrage.
I think heals like 10% or something, right?
Yeah, it's pretty well. It's like 8 hearts. I'm thinking she gets because she maxes out everybody's, right, or something like that. 8 extra hearts. So yeah, man, I'm gonna be honest. I love this fight. I really do. I feel like there's some stuff that's really hard for Party Finder and playing with random people, but I love it. I don't know what it is. I enjoy people getting pissed off and frustrated at these mechanics, and it felt like a huge wall for a lot of overconfident people. So
keeps you awake during re-clears.
Yeah, and it's so fun. It's like sorry, from a streamer perspective, I guess maybe it's fun because you're like, oh, we're in the B phase. Let's see who gets fucked up, right? And you're just like the entire time just paying attention, and then you get hit by a B because you're looking at everybody else. But I mean, like it's just a fun moment of just trying to fucking make it work. Such a clusterfuck. Hard to optimize. It has all these things that just make me happy as a raider. But I understand why people are pissed, and I understand that the dodging of hearts is kind of annoying too, right? Especially with things in a static, it's not that bad because you're like, okay, we're organized. We're gonna go stand over here, and we're gonna meet up and do our stack whatever together with the proper amount of hearts. And Party Finder, it's all everywhere, and so it becomes just a moment of insanity. But yeah,
the other thing to talk about with some of these fights is the melee uptime, which is something to consider, which was less so in Endwalker.
Yeah,
and that's been fun. This fight doesn't really have anything too crazy going on with it, but there's some times you have to go out and try to squeeze in some hits there.
Melee's the hardest job in the game, dude. Or hardest role. 100%, no doubt. Melee's the hardest role. I will say that forever, dude. It really is, because you have so much more to think about, I think, as a player than you know, a lot of the other jobs. Healer's easiest role in the game. It is literally the easiest one, without a doubt. Because the healers, they have such an easy rotation in general. It's not bad. You get to pay attention to things. Things are only bad when people mess up. And when people mess up, you could say it's the healer's fault, but when you're rezzing people, it doesn't look bad for you. You're just trying to recover a bad situation someone else made bad, right? And so it's such a straightforward thing to play healer, and it's fun because you have to be reactive to other people messing up and trying to fix the situation. I like that part. But in general, as just playing the job and executing mechanics, it's easier than any other job out there, any other role.
Yeah,
maybe not during Prague, but
even
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
even during Prague, right? You're just
Look
kind
at
of
hit left
zombie
and right.
rezzing. You get a red mage that helps you res too, right? If you're going to like really hardcore about it, but it's not that bad.
Sage has really made the Prague healing thing easy, because if stuff starts hitting the fans, I just start spamming Eucrasian Prognosis, switch the brain off, and now we're done.
Yeah,
We're
you just
sorted.
keep spamming it.
Everybody will be fine, probably.
And then when everybody's fine, you have extra movement because of your toxicons, right? Because now it's even easier for you later on in the fight. And it's I was going to play Picto through this tier, but then I had like a taste of Sage in the extremes. I'm like, all right, no way, I'm doing this, right? Because it's way more enjoyable to me. But yeah, on the part of melee being the hardest, it's the job that has to deal with some level of side of the boss or behind the boss, right? There's something to think about with that. And also, your positioning matters usually a decent amount. You don't have a lot of casts. Some do. Samurai has more than some casters. But, you know, the positioning matters a lot, and they usually make it kind of tight around where you are safe around the boss, and you have to think about that a lot. So I feel like melee just has a lot to think about with positioning overall, and a lot more buttons to hit for their combo, a lot more buttons to fit inside the 2-minute window, in general, more than the other roles. But
I would say like the 2-minute melee brain is the hard part, where you just have to press all your buttons.
And then you don't see that Pictomancer's grass hit the ground, and you're like, where's your fucking grass, man? Like, every time. You're just waiting.
I've been learning Samurai lately, and I feel that for sure.
Or you see it hit the ground, and then it's visually cluttered, like during the
can't see what's going on
and stuff during the stack and beat 1.
Oh,
Put
yeah.
the grass down, and you just can't see anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you it forces you to see it, right? And so it just makes it that much worse. Yeah. All right. Anything else on M2 before we move on to the third fight?
No, the less said on that fight, the better.
Okay.
The music's really good.
The music, yeah, it's great. I'm
that surprisingly didn't drive me insane completely, but
okay. I turn the music off after one playthrough. I go straight back to Spotify. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Anyways, third fight. You know, this is another one that we had a lot of guesses on what was going to happen with the floor, and they just didn't do shit.
Nothing.
Yeah.
This is my least favorite fight.
Is it? I mean, I like some stuff about it, but in general, I feel like there was a lot more room to work with. Why is it third fight's the disappointment every fucking tier? It's always the disappointing fight.
I wouldn't say this one's disappointing. I just think it gets a little outclassed by the other ones. I think it's still a really good fight.
In general,
it's the most standard Final Fantasy Savage fight.
Yeah. But I mean, so was it's P11, right? It was pretty standard and straightforward for a fight.
This is better than P11.
Fair. That is fair.
I'll be the contrarian, because I love me a good, really boring, standard, just execution-based fight.
Okay.
E11S is one that came to mind immediately, where it's just some stacks, some spreads, some proteins mixed, but at a kind of fast pace and with a lot of damage going out. And same thing, I'm one of those few that really actually liked P11S. As basic as it is.
I liked it as a healer, but like as a DPS, it sucks. It sucks completely.
It's simplistic, and there's nothing that really wows you with it. what I thought that M3S was missing is that in those really heavy execution-based third fights, they normally have a bit kind of near to the end that ramps it up, takes it to 11, and makes you go, cool, we're going to do everything you've already done, but faster. So like the cycles in E11S, where it's just, let's do everything. Or Letter of the Law in P11S. Which, again, it's all stuff you've seen before, but it's back to back to back to back to back, and it's great, and there's nothing there here. The fight just kind of hits to, once you've kind of gotten past Fuse Field, there's nothing else really too hard in the fight.
Yeah, it's the limit cut. The P9S limit cut is Fuse Field, which is kind of weird.
I think the pacing leading up to that's not great either. It feels really slow when you have to, like, when you wipe the Fuse Field and you have to get back there, it's miserable.
Yeah.
I think if you compare it to like P3S, like Phoenix, like that fight had pretty cool mechanics like towards the end, like Flames of Asphodelos and I forgot what the other mechanic was called, but yeah, it had two like pretty cool mechanics, but the mechanics at the end of 3 are not that cool. I don't know, they're just kind of boring.
So
I'm with Chad on this one. P3 was
I want to
excellent.
clarify this. I know, guys, there's exceptions, but generally the third fight has had complaints. And I don't know if you guys remember, but P3S was one color. You know, it was
this one.
Visually rough fight. So there was some issues still with it. But I mean, mechanically, yeah. I mean, M3S has a little bit more. You can see stuff a little bit better in M3S.
No.
I like M3S. I want to say that. I just want to say it's not on it's not beating out the other fights for the most part. And there's a lot of cool stuff with it. Yeah. The worst part of it is
the worst.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say the worst part of this fight for me. What is it? Final Fuse Down, where the fuses appear on your head for the first time.
Yep.
That is absolutely terrible on Dragoon specifically, because you're doing all of your jumps. Your character is literally off screen. How am I supposed to see my fuse? Like,
when I play Dragoon, I look at like a healer because they're just casting, and I just like oh, they're long, I'm short. Yeah.
I can't see my character model during that. I don't know why we don't have debuffs.
I have a big character model, and it comes in handy there, so that works out.
This one suffers from Lala problems, which it's the same issue I have when I have to like position myself nicely for a knockback. I have to like find my own corner of the arena so I can actually see the top of my head.
Gotta zoom in.
You gotta look at other people. That's the strat.
Yeah, I think. Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I always look at the bombs first, because then by the time you figure out where you're supposed to be or where you could be, your burst is typically over, and you can kind of chill out and look at your head better. But it's still.
Besides all that, I'm okay with Fuse Field and all the bombs and everything else. I hate the doping drought or whatever they're doing. It's literally just dead time. It feels so long sitting there, and it's unnecessary. Just like dead
and the boss
moment in the
spins
fight.
like 3 times, so I have to like try to get my positionals while it's.
I don't know. It's
just melee things.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're just standing there.
I wish they took just that moment out of the fight. Just reduce the fight by like a whole 90 seconds, probably, I would think, right? Or something like that.
Does that happen 2 or 3 times?
3 times.
3 times.
3 times during the fight. And
it could be once.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I thought they were going to remove him knocking the ref out. I really thought they were going to remove it because it was just extra fluff. But they're like, no, you got to keep it in there. I mean, most of the fight deals. We get back to the stack, 2 or separate or pairs, right? It's either spread or pairs throughout the entire fight. And it's 50-50 kind of throw you off thing. And then eventually it adds in the flames to the hands if they're going to do inside or knockback. I will say, like, as a healer, they do that a couple times. They did it with the tail and M4S too, where they have a 50-50 and one hits for like nothing and the other hits like a decent amount, I think. I mean, the knockback has a little bit of damage in M4S, but the other one has no damage, right? And so they have a little bit of variance there too, which I guess is good to not have super predictable healing that you might have to react to a little bit, but I don't know. But that's the most of the fight right there. Is do I go in? Do I go out? Am I with a pair? Am I spread? Do I hit anti-knockback or do I not hit anti-knockback? Right? And I really don't know how this fucking thing came with the towers, because I never really understood why people didn't just get knocked back into their positions. Maybe because it was too tight. But I've never done it in Party Finder. I hear it all the time, and everybody's like, no, we're not doing that strategy. I don't know if it was just like very short-lived, but where people would do the towers and just not get knocked back by them. Did you guys do that strat
I've
at all?
never seen that. I've never seen anybody.
I've never
do
seen
that.
it.
The only reason I know it's a thing is because I watched a lot of World First, or at least streamers that were streaming on day one, and about 3 or 4 of the bigger groups chose to do knockback immunity for the towers. And so day 1 and day 2 in PF, knockback immunity towers was, at least on Chaos where I raid, was a thing.
Okay.
I saw it all over the place. Having done it, it's awful. It just meant that every time that we'd get to the knockback after that, one of our tanks would have to do the Waddle of Shame running through middle because they mistimed their gap closer and spread perfectly middle in downtime. It's one of those, I don't know, it's a day one thing that you go, oh, hey, I can knock back immune these towers, why not? And only afterwards do you realize what a bad idea it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did it once in Prague, and then we were like, this does not feel right. And then we just switched back to getting knockback. It just makes more sense. And also the knockback immune is more useful when the dive comes on, in my opinion.
It makes the dive like a non-mechanic, basically.
Yeah.
It's super great there. The towers, you know, I will say you can mess those up pretty easily. It goes into the same issue of the other knockbacks, where if you're too close to the middle, you're gonna hit the wall or something. And we have people die.
A lot of people going into the wall.
Yeah, but it's not the end of the fight, right? You know, if someone dies, you just have to heal a little bit more.
Heal a Sage. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Panheimer.
Panheim is so strong, dude. But I mean, I have places for it. I don't want to use it there, okay? I have other places I want to put Panheim. For example, the smash AoE in the ground. Panheim, done with it, right? But yeah, there's a handful of spots that like you have to do a little bit of extra healing. I mean, that's just healer design in the game, where they give you more than you need to deal with these situations. And you can survive through it. And the best thing is that first one, there's no mechanics that happen for a full minute after it's over with the towers, right? It's literally nothing. So I don't know. Then you go forward. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the tower knockbacks are actually kind of fun though. Like on melee, you can try to get angled the right way, get an extra GCD.
Not as a caster, it's a fucking shit. Because you're trying to get your cast off right at the exact time, right? And you're like, I hope I get it right when I hit knockback so the GCD doesn't get cut, or you don't...
Swift cast.
I mean, a swift cast, but then you have to time that right? And then you have to have your Toxicons ready for it if you're a Sage or whatever. It's true. Pictos.
Swift cast Dosis followed by your healer being your healer, and you don't have another reser because it's Picto all this tier. Your healer being the other person who goes into the wall.
True.
Yeah. And so some of that downtime stuff with the casting is a little like frustrating, but for me it's a good frustrating because it's a problem you have to deal with and find ways to deal with it, right? And it only matters for a little bit, like just that little extra damage you can squeeze in there, and that you're trying to solve for. But yeah, you guys were talking about the bombs and the fuses on the head and everything. I have I wear a Moogle head, so I have a palm in there. So the first couple times I was just like getting a little bit confused with it. But yeah, it's not so bad once you get used to it. And a lot of those corners that you go for safety can fit 2-3 people in the corner, right? Without blowing everybody up. It's not too bad if somebody messes up and goes to the wrong spot. But a lot of people freak out and they just run into the wall afterwards because they don't know what to do. It's the circles kind of help with the lines on the ground as you put in your guide, Hector. You know, the little diamond in the middle. It's the little safe lines for a lot of people. And it's fairly simple. I think I rarely run into problems with it, except for when people get turned around and they get freaked out about going to the wrong side.
I've heard, again, I don't PF much. I've only been in once, but I've heard horror stories of people really struggling to agree on how they're going to do that mechanic.
Really?
Which I find odd because big split between doing it fixed north or doing it relative north to 1 bomb or doing it relative north to 3 bombs and how you want to spread, which is silly because the one time that I jumped into PF with this, I went to my corner according to the strat I thought we were doing, and the other healer's there, and I go, oh no, oh wait, and so we just go to the 2 sides of the corner. It's like, anyways.
Right.
There's so much room that it literally does not matter how you mess it up. It's fine.
Yeah.
For me, that mechanic now, I don't even look at the strat. I just focus target my partner or like the other
that's
melee.
what I do too. Yeah.
It's a non-mechanic now. You just don't go to the focus target.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one that follows it is like the big wall, which causes so much frustration in Party Finder because it is the one person fuck up, kill everybody mechanic, the fuse final countdown, whatever it's called, right?
Fuse field?
Fuse field.
Fuse field, yeah. And then you have all the things and just the varying amounts of priorities that are out there, and Party Finder just argues over, and everyone thinks they got the right answer.
It's so overcomplicated.
But it always fucks up once or twice. People are like, oh, wait a minute. And people stand in my spot so many times, I'm like, well, fuck, let me find your spot, right? But then they're like, oh, I'm supposed to break it the 4th time instead of the 3rd time. And you're like, who breaks it first now that we're all mixed up, right? And then it just turns into a clusterfuck.
As long as you pop them clockwise, it's fine. But
Yeah.
you have time to get into your spot.
Yeah, it's true. But a lot of
You just
people
gotta watch what other people are doing, I guess.
They freak
That's
out.
a big ask. But
It's a freak. It's like a panic moment that kills the entire party, and that's what happens usually. Is they panic to their spot and they panic on the break, and it's just done. And people get pissed and they leave the party immediately after. But yeah, what is it? Go ahead.
I just find it baffling that that's one of the sticking points for this because I don't know if others were like this, but our first couple times doing the fight, our fuse field prio was YOLO. You just kind of run around until you find a fuse matching your debuff, and cool, good enough. If somebody's on your fuse, cool, go find another one. There's like 10 seconds before you have to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
But a lot of people don't realize it, and then they just break it at the same time and kill everybody. But what is the right prio?
it's not having the melee go north, I can tell you that. Because you have to, I mean, you pop
so
first,
not
it's fine,
MM,
you can move
RR.
after you pop, but
Okay.
I see why people go RMMR. The right prio is whichever one is easiest for you to remember, because as a melee stuck north, you have 2 seconds of that entire mechanic where you have to be north, and the rest of it, go get your positionals all you want. Who cares?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Like you literally just have to pop your
However,
fuse and then run away and you're done.
if you get long tether north and then you start south and leave the north one empty, you're going to confuse the whole
Oh yeah,
PF.
people will get confused because
That is
you're on their
true.
tether.
You better be north as soon as you get there. And you better be standing there. I'm always worried I'm going to confuse people when I leave my tether after I pop it,
Yeah, me too.
let alone beforehand.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it should be a non-issue, but
Yeah.
you have true norths there as well, typically, so it's not like a big deal. But
But it's the
I
most
think,
frustrating mechanic in the entire fight. Oh, go ahead, Hector. Yeah.
Sorry, just Static Raider, MMRR was what came to my mind, just because then I don't have to reorganize the party list, so I can call out who pops next.
Oh, you
It's
call
also
stuff
good-
out for your group.
Oh yeah, well, I'm shield healer, so
You do
nobody
nothing
pops
else,
unless
right?
I've said you're allowed to pop. And because I'm throwing Holos on like 2 seconds into it, I'm going go, 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 so I can get as much of it under the myth
Nice.
as possible. But it just means that it's brain dead for me to go just that person, then that person, then that person, then that person. Solely because it was natural order of the party was why it clicked with me. I don't think I'd even considered like the annoyance of a positional if you're a melee that gets the 50-50 and gets stuck north.
Mm-hmm.
that gives the casters a bit more time to get into position as well if they have one of the short fuses, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
there's enough time. Like
Ah.
they could get the first short fuse.
Man.
It's really flexible. Like you can
Yeah.
kind of do whatever
Mhm.
and get away with it.
I saw people
long as
doing
people-
light party prios. I was like week 1. I was like, why are you guys
Well, they
splitting
went
this up
light party
based?
because they were doing the snake prio, right?
Yeah. It's like, what?
Which is literally just RMMR.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but it's people using different phrases and everything. But
I've seen people acting like everything's been RMMR. We've always done snake prios. Anytime a mechanic come up, it's snake prios. I made a guide featuring snake prios. I had to go back and go, wait, what was snake prios again?
right.
Who goes clockwise?
Who calls this? It's just the thing that carries over, like chariot and everything else. It's just the name of the mechanic now. If you ever have to do priorities and around a clock, it's snake prios because of fucking P8S. All right. But past that, the rest of the fight's pretty fucking straightforward, easy. Repeats itself for the most part. You have the big crazy combo part where he's doing all the different things, but he's just kind of repeating a lot of the stuff and just a lot of damage all at once, right? And then a knockback. There isn't.
I think the second chain deathmatch, that one's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, the chain. I guess that we didn't go over that too much, but yeah, the chain part. The second chain one is way more interesting than the first chain part. Because the second one, there's a chance you have to do it differently than you did the other one, right?
Yeah.
There's a small chance you have to think a little bit and not use the easy solution to it. And I think that's that's enough to throw in there. Again, you're just rehashing that same mechanic you saw earlier in the fight and making it a little harder, which is standard Savage stuff that they do. And again, if people die during it, not a big deal. It does a little bit more damage because I think people get poisoned as well, right? So I didn't see too many troubles with that one. The spinning shit. That is what fucked up a lot of parties afterwards, right? The fuse or die or whatever it's called.
Infernal spin.
Fuse or foe.
Fuse or foe. Fuse or foe. That's right. Why fuse or foe? I don't.
Take a shot every time you get fuse or foe, fuse field, and fuse final fuse down final fusinating.
Yeah, exactly.
I only just learned the names of them all like this week, so.
Oh, jeez. But that one was simplified so much that it doesn't even really matter too much.
It's so easy with the marker strat. Just look at your marker.
Yeah.
Stand on it.
It's as soon as I see the wave go past, I'm like, well, now I can stand over in my area, I guess. I don't have to really worry about it. It's not going to come back. And I can just do stuff over there. Or I can stay in the middle for heals and make life easier there. Or whatever people might want. But I think the most confusing part of that is the swap they do with the healer and the melee for a lot of parties. Where they're like, do we stay swapped for the stacker spread after, or do we...
I've been killed by that healer so many times.
Yeah. It's literally the worst part of that mechanic is just dealing with what to do after it's done and reacting to the melee as a healer.
Yeah, we usually go back to clocks, typically,
Yeah.
but sometimes the healer forgets.
Just depends on what I see the other dude do. If he doesn't move, I'm staying. But if he moves, I'll go. I just don't know what the right answer is for it. But we just let it play. I mean, you're supposed to move back to your spot, right? Because if it's a stack, you're kind of fucked if two supports stay.
That was always my understanding.
Yeah.
You can swap a healer and a tank, and it makes it a bit easier, but...
Yeah.
That sounds too complicated.
If it's Octa,
it's not for Party Finder probably, but...
Yeah. Octa doesn't matter. It's just the quad is what really makes it goofy. But yeah, I think, the rest of the fight's pretty straightforward. He does a big, super extra, mechanic at the end. And again, great enrage at the very end. Body slams everybody to the wall or whatever else, or just kills everybody. I think right when he's coming down, you die, right?
That's enrage, yeah.
Yeah.
You die, but it also knocks you back into the death wall, like your corpse goes flying.
Okay.
A really nice little touch.
Yeah. I like it a good bit. They were creative with it. They made it a wrestling fight. They did a fantastic job with it. I don't know if this is with a lot of the fights. I know in the very first one, if you do a jump back off the edge, you hit the outer ring. It doesn't let you go past it. So there's an actual wall where that outer ring is, where the whatever the fuck the ropes are. You can't go past the ropes, but you can drop down below it. which was kind of interesting. I don't know why I found that interesting, but it seemed like just an extra thing they added for whatever reason, right? Because they could just have put no wall there and you just fall anyways, but they thought about making sure you don't go outside the ring, which is neat. So they put some thought into these fights, outside of just the general fight design. Anything else on 3 before we get into this last one?
Oh, the flare, I don't know why it does so little damage. Like, as a tank, I can literally just use, like, my short mitt and stand right next to it.
Which one?
So the dive that you have to, like, go away from.
The
Oh,
proximity one.
Yeah.
I can just stand there and, like, pop a short mitt. It's
I-
kind of gets me memories of, like, top P2 where you can just stack all the flares. I
I don't know. That's gotten me on melee. I have to
Yeah.
second wind.
Oh, as melee, yeah.
If I try to keep uptime, you have to second wind after that before
well,
Yeah,
the
it's
stacker
just
spread.
it's just weird because like every other Savage fight as a tank, you can't do that. I don't know why. Like they just randomly decided you can.
I'm okay with it because it has this neat little aspect to healing, to where people charge in before the damage goes out, and you're
Yeah.
like, who do I got to throw a quick heal on a stat like real quick before we all wipe, right? So it adds a reaction moment for a lot of healers of who fucked up, but the people don't realize they fucked up because they don't die. But you'll always have like one consistent player who charges in too early that you have to put that extra heal on. So
Always the melee,
yeah.
and they're always the one that is 4 D-pad presses down on controller to hit a Torachol onto.
Yeah.
I guess
You
I
play Sage on
necessarily
the
know.
controller, dude?
Oh yeah, it's fine as long as the melees don't need healing, and they don't. They can die. Looking at you, Nusi.
All right. So, just in consideration for time, we should start on the 4th fight here. Okay. So the 4th fight, the grand finale, the biggest thing to even talk about on this fight, there's no checkpoint. You know, they went back to it, and what do you guys feel about that? Are you glad there's no checkpoint?
I like it. I'm a big fan of long fights. Like Shiva was my favorite fight ever. So,
Okay.
This is my first non-door boss Savage fight, so it's kind of hard for me to say, but I like it and I don't like it.
Okay.
I loved Titan as a no checkpoint boss.
Mhm.
I loved Shiva as well. I'm right there with you. It's my favorite Savage fight that I've ever done. And I would love this one too as a non-checkpoint fight boss if everything after where the checkpoint would normally be was worth doing.
yeah, that's fair.
And there's the kicker with this, and I know a lot of people will feel the same, that Phase 1 lives up to the expectations of a brilliant final phase fight, and Phase 2 would make a fairly interesting extreme.
Yeah. It is pretty, like, I feel like Shiva had a lot of really interesting things afterwards, for sure. And I remember just liking going into that, the bane of the anti-knockback mechanic with the mirrors, killed me. But I did love that second half of the fight a lot. What's up, Cat? Cat that meowed in the very beginning of the video, right?
Yeah, sorry. This is Maverick. He's what's described as a Velcro kitty. So this is not consensual right now. I didn't agree to this. He's pretty excited. Yeah, he's gonna.
A great Final Fantasy 14 player, I must say.
There we go. People would prefer to look at you, anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I feel like this fight could have. I feel like maybe they could have pulled P2 a little bit more forward and maybe made a third kind of iteration, kind of like Titan had its 3 little modes, right? He got really big, then went back to normal size. I feel like when especially during the world race, I was like, "Fuck, it's over, dude."
Yeah,
It felt like we were missing more, right? There should have been more to it. Don't get me wrong. End of a race, 2 people, 20 seconds apart, clearing it. That's pretty crazy, right? And then it happens again right afterwards. That's pretty crazy. But I feel like it was definitely missing just that little extra bit of oomph to make that fight fun in a world race setting. But if we're going back to Party Finder and talking about it as a fight, there's 2 really frustrating prog mechanics, and then maybe 3, but then the rest of the fight is a lot of very simple, straightforward. You can kind of get it. It's just don't be an idiot and do the mechanic part, right? A lot of it is the phase 1 in general is go back, like be far away, wide or far, or whatever else, right? That's a huge bit of the very beginning of it. You get into that first like wide or far part where it's like narrowing or widening, and then if it's far or not, that's where Party Finder just fucks up, dude. It just flops down. And I will add, sorry, going back, a small note. That first AoE, I've had groups die to it. Handful of times. Because there just wasn't enough bit up to deal with it.
And it happens again after the narrowing, and that one can get you too. I've seen that one.
There's so many times I have to debate if I'm going to do a hard shield or not, because I don't know if people are all going to hit their mitts. This was a big part of that. It's like me learning if this group is able to remember their mitts or not, or if I'm literally on my own.
It's really good if somebody takes an auto before the tank as well.
Oh yeah,
if you pull early,
that happens all the time.
Picto.
You Picto, yeah. I'm sure Hector, as another Sage player here, you're used to it. You look to see who gets hit, and you're like, all right, there is one stack. I mean, you have your stacks, you're trying to burn them really quick anyways, right? And so you're just like shooting it over there as soon as possible. And you're like, well, you don't have a shield now. Let's just see how it goes.
Yeah, they die. They die every time. I'm literally looking at, are they near enough to the edge that it's not going to take too much effort to throw like Haima or something on them? And if it is too much effort, then shouldn't have early pulled.
Yeah, maybe. I've had people yell at me before. I remember doing P12S and someone pulled early. I'm like, you know what? It's on you this time. Let's see how it goes out. And literally he's like, healers, are you even paying attention? And I'm like, dude, that's all you. I don't know what to tell you. Just don't pull early.
Are you even paying attention? It's the first 30 seconds of the fight. Obviously, no.
Yeah, we're not.
Like, what do they expect from me?
My rotation and getting that right, that's all that matters. Getting my 2 Plegmas and my Psyche in on the 2 minutes, that's my focus, my friend. And reapplying my dot early. Huh?
You got to talk to your tanks. Tell them to use their short mitts, because they can save the people that get
true.
auto also.
It's true. It's on them too. And the second wins and all the other stuff that's out there. Right? But I don't know. I felt like this fight was kind of neat. It didn't live up as much as I hoped it would. It felt overall a little easy for a lot of the mechanics in general. Again, that wide and that far and narrowing, that threw people off and figuring out the simple way to do it. And people will go in there thinking I can do my exact same spots every single time and it will work. And it doesn't. Right? Because someone's going to be... Because that's, again, player-based. Oh. If the other players are doing what they're doing correctly, sure, maybe. But if they're not, then it's not going to work out. You have to kind of overcompensate a bit. And it allows you to shine a little bit if you truly understand what the mechanic's like. So
I think that's the most interesting mechanic in the first phase.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't know. I like the EE and EE2. I can't even remember. Electrobe something.
Electrobe Edge.
Electrobe Edge 2 is great.
Yeah. It's the big wall for a lot of Party Finder groups at the beginning. The first prog wall is that, and people just remembering where they need to go and all that stuff. And it's not that complicated, right? There's a system to it. I think one of the worst parts I usually see is the priority of this. It's like, if it's spread, fuck it, easy, dude, we got this. But if it's stack in the middle of E2, you're like, fuck, who was supposed to stand with, right? I've seen it happen a lot. I've seen it happen so many times where people just wipe over that. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about just those mechanics in general? Just they're good mechanics. That's all to really be said about them, or is there something really interesting about them?
I think everything's really good. Going back to the start, though, I think if they I do like it not being a door boss. It's fun. The transition's really cool.
Oh, sure.
But if it was a door boss, I feel like phase 1 could maybe use one more interesting mechanic at the end as well.
I don't know.
It's good how it is for sure, but
I'm back in the day of X-Steph and its door boss, so like I don't have a lot of like I don't think there's a lot of really stuff in X-Steph. It was a pretty straightforward couple of minutes door boss. I mean, I had Foss as a door boss back in the day, I guess too, right? So that was the thing. So they could do this a couple different ways. If they're gonna make it a longer fight, yeah, I mean they could have probably added one or two more things. But, you know, it's weird there's no DPS check. Even though there's, like, multiple, it's just one fight, and there's not, like, a breakpoint checkpoint. I feel like there should have been a DPS checkpoint. It kind of sucks that they don't challenge your DPS until the end of the fight.
To put that into perspective, this week on my alt reclear, we had a Viper in 700 gear. I died on Samurai.
That's on you, dude.
Burst,
Party Finder has to be set
and
up
we
right,
cleared.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. We didn't see enrage. We cleared during like the first sword quiver at the end.
Jeez.
Our static did our 4-3 clear this week with 15 deaths and about 8 damage downs.
Wow.
Shit, dude. At least you guys
did not see the enrage cast.
That's insane. Oh, man, yeah. No, this is... Because everybody's past M2, right? They're past M2, they're past M3. These were the checks. Can you do your rotation? People who could do their rotation, passed it. No problem at all. So the people who are in 4, especially in Party Finder, usually know at least a general rotation to be able to pass checks. And so this one, they didn't up it to make sure you definitely knew it. They were just like, do you sort of know it still? And people just passed it. So... I think it's actually one of the lowest checks out of the fights, isn't it?
Lower than M3S. I think when you factor in the downtime, it's kind of close-ish, but still not.
I mean, when you're talking about fight length and how much damage you have to do within that length, yeah, I mean, it's whatever. It was undertuned DPS check-wise, 100% on the 4th one.
It definitely gave me less trouble than 2 and 3 in PF.
Yeah.
DPS check-wise.
Yeah. And so I think if they would at least bring some checks down a little bit, and I think they should do it for more than just the last fight, right? I feel like this is something that should be implemented, because doing DPS is part of the fight, but you don't get dinged for it until the end. And I feel like there should be, you have to have good DPS to see more mechanics, right? I don't know.
They really just need to do it like an ultimate. Literally, it's 2 fights, but there is no checkpoint. You have to get the first one down low enough before the end of intermission to get it like to 50% or to get it to 0 to even go to phase 2. And then boss gets full health again, or you have a mini enrage you could possibly see at the end of intermission. Yeah. And it would work great. Yeah. But otherwise, cool. You really could sneak through phase 1. And then from that point onwards, you can see all of phase 2 because there's nothing there that's going to wall you.
You literally don't have to do any damage to the fight and just do the mechanics the entire time, and then you'll see enrage.
Yeah. When I was doing this fight, it was like I was comparing it to Asphodelis, like what's his name, Hesperos, and that fight, the door boss was actually pretty hard to kill on release. So like comparing that to this is like, even if you're comparing like the 4th floor of the first tier, they definitely messed up on the DPS.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But I mean, like, I felt like the cannon after Electro Edge 2, right? The cannons on the side was a neat introduction to the concept of the ion cannon stuff. But I feel like it should have been more complicated. It felt like very cheesable. Like, it feels like I'm cheesing it every time I do it. It feels way too simple for what mechanic is.
Yeah. I mean, there was this group, I think their name was DN. They came up with this really awesome strat, and it makes the mechanic so brain dead that it's like it basically it's like ruined the mechanic because it's so easy because the strat is that good. Yeah, kudos to that group.
Yeah,
I'm in that group. But yeah, one of our knife men found out that the tether could also get hit by the like cleave, and then one of our other knife men's was like, "Oh wait, you can like just stack them on top of each other," and then pretty much, but yeah.
That's so silly, dude.
Legitimately, I think there are so many week 1 raiders that have your strat both for the ion cannon and also because you guys are responsible for the clock spots static version of Witch Hunt.
Witch Hunt.
Yeah, taking the 2 hardest mechanics of that phase and making them like brain dead. Genuinely, like somebody in the chat's mentioning sleep purgation, and it's that level of taking something that should be insanely hard and making it so much simpler. It's just flawless.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Knife Men.
Yeah.
It's even pendant strat for.
They don't get any rewards, but shout out to them.
Oh my god.
That's up to you guys. You guys have to deal with that. I don't gotta deal with that. But yeah, no, I feel like that once that got broken, that was pretty straightforward. Then you went into the pizza slice phase, and that's really not that bad. People mess it up a lot, but it really isn't anything. The only
as a melee, it's scary.
It's
as a melee, it can be scary. It can be scary as a melee because if people are not like in the correct pie slice, like you can clip each other with a debuff and then just die.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's also tighter up there, but the lines in the floor do a lot of work, man. The little dots there, and it's so... You just pay attention to it, and it gets you where you need to go. And I think the craziest thing is just trying to figure out how you want to handle your potions in 2 minutes at that point. Right? Because your 2 minutes get cut off right at the end of it.
Egads. That's when you pop your pot.
Yeah, ECATs. Perfect.
I think I've maybe potted correctly during that once in all of the time that we've done this, just because I can't convince myself to pot knowing I'm about to have to spam a bunch of heals and shields to try to not have everybody die before we get to the other platform. And I don't know if it's just because we've misplaced our mitts and haven't optimized that enough or what, but I consistently and I can't slide cast the stupid pizza slices. I am that bad at the game that I cannot deal with.
Dude, the spell speed on the slide casting there, it's just off enough to where even if you get in sync with it, you're going to be a little bit off. And so what I do is I run a little bit more in, or like I try to do some wonky stuff with my movement zigzagging around so it feels a little bit better, but it doesn't line up perfectly.
I do like 2 of them normal with slide cast, and then I go, nope, I don't like this anymore. We're wasting all of our Toxicon stacks. Screw it.
It helps to be more in melee range, right?
Yeah. It could help a lot more with that.
First 3 hits.
But then you're that much. Your safe zone is that much smaller. And so it's a little bit, you gotta take it one way or another. But I mean, you might have to run in front of the dude anyways. That's when my Toxicons or whatever, my non-movement stuff comes into play. The Sage definitely feels weird because you know the casting of the dot and everything, and how you have to Eucrasia it to get to it, and so it just feels kind of goofy sometimes in it. But yeah, and then after you get to it, you go into the second phase, and the X flares, I think, is the first real thing of that phase. It looked like it was going to be real crazy.
Looks scarier than it is.
But it's so easy.
The scariest part is trying not to walk off the edge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's tough because once they walk off the edge, I'm laughing my ass off, and I'm probably going to die too because I just can't stop laughing at the fact this dude just casually walks off the side trying to go in that little narrow spot. Yeah.
I laugh at that until I realize the person who walked off was the co-healer.
Oh, yeah, then it's over. Yeah.
Wait a minute, where's that? Oh, no.
Then everybody blows up, yeah.
Everybody instantly explodes.
One of the few ways that you can instantly kill your group is just have the other healer die, and then that's over. But anyone else dies, it's okay, right? And then the people freaking out because they're spread a little bit during the first dodge, and then just running into the AoEs trying to get to you and all that stuff. But
yeah, I love that they made that stack so incredibly enormous that you don't even need to organize where you're going to start.
Yeah.
You can literally be one edge of the top safe spot, the other edge of the bottom safe spot, and it's still just fine. And if one person somehow manages to dodge quickly out the wrong way and miss it, you still are fine because they tickle you. Yeah. They are the lightest hitting stacks I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're not that bad. And that immediately goes into the 50-50 are you in the middle or are you on the edges mechanic, like the sword or the beams on the side? But then mustard bomb comes up. It's again one of those mechanics where you don't need to heal after the damage goes out first, but everybody does it anyways. And then you just gotta individually heal up 2 people.
How do we feel about making the tanks grab the debuffs?
That's a good point. I love it. Because I just sit there. I mean, I'm going to tell the tanks to always get the debuffs. Fuck them. I'm not a tank. I could just... I don't got to worry about it.
I think it makes sense. Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. No.
Yeah.
This is one I've gotten grief on because some people that are not probably tanks are not happy that this is something I ended up showing in my guide. And if I'm being honest, when I first animated in my guide, I had people moving to the tanks because that's how we always did it. Because not that I don't trust my tanks are fantastic. But also, I'm fine to just be like, I'll do this for you. It was just how we had done the mechanic. And I swapped it because the paste bin that everybody was using in NA showed tanks moving to go grab them. And I said, sure, we'll do it that way. But it has been a major pain point because people feel really iffy about trusting the tanks to do the mechanic.
Well... What else the fuck are they doing?
The only time it gets a little spicy is when they're both on like the same side and the tanks have to kind of figure out which one they're grabbing, I guess. But
I mean, you just go in.
It's still pretty self-explanatory. No, I agree. I'm with you.
So we took the conga line and then we curved it slightly, and PF is broken now. Done.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
I haven't ever seen that be an issue.
Tell your static you'll be 15 more minutes late.
What?
Just tell them 15 more minutes, guys. Just 15 more minutes. Are you guys in chat? Your stacks in chat? 15 more minutes, guys. All right. We got to finish up at least talking about this fight, all right? If they say no, I'll kick you off, all right? Tell them 15 more minutes. Frosty's asking. So when we were talking about this, okay, Mustard Barm happens. We have some cool stuff with... I mean, we don't really have to go over every single one because a lot of the mechanics, again, are pretty straightforward. They're not too crazy. You have the scatter or the concentrated with standing with the cannons or the wings. It's just a partner thing you got to do, and it's not that big of a deal. The next thing I think out of all of this that really matters, I guess, is the chain lightning. Still not that hard, but it's when your 2 minutes are happening and you have to get everybody kind of close to the center side to make sure you get all the buffs, because you can miss buffs with that. And you can't call that mechanic out because it's limited to each side, right?
So you can.
Okay.
Say chat. Chat.
Oh, say chat.
Say chat won't reach the other side, so you can type in like 2143 in say, and you will call it out in the text for just your side if you wanted to.
Oh my
it's easy
God.
enough that you don't have to do that even because it's a 4-digit code.
You just remember
anybody
3.
Can remember that.
You remember 3, and the last was the one that you didn't remember, right? And so it's really just remembering 3 in its entirety. But
that's another. I'm just gonna say that's another mechanic where the memory of the left to right is the hard part.
Oh yeah,
for me at least. I don't know.
Being ready after the mechanic goes off.
Yeah, because you just have to remember it's coming up. Yeah.
Throughout this phase, all of those memory checks.
Yep.
I will say it feels good when it's in 1, 2, 3, 4 or 4, 2, 3, 1 as a caster, I guess. I know 4 sucks for most melee players because you're having to like dick around a little bit with it or something, but I'm guessing there's a decent way to do it without dying. I don't know, but you fall off the side when you try to get too greedy. Or I've seen a lot of people do it. Have you guys had a lot of issues where that'll work?
Pulls you off, I think.
The what?
I was just saying the gap. If you gap close from like the 4 spot, if you're on the close side, you can go off the edge. You just have to move to the far side and gap close.
But I mean, it's a fun little mechanic. It's not that bad. It's pretty straightforward. Worst case scenario, you follow the leader on your side, and it works out okay.
I guess one thing I haven't talked about is the tank damage in this tier, and that mechanic specifically. Like the tank autos are like pretty big. You actually have to pay attention to those. We had some deaths to autos in Prague, so
It makes me have
that's
to
the
hit
hardest.
my Sotira every once in a while, so I was like, oh yeah, let me hit a Sotira, and then throw it over my Haima over there and just make sure I actually make use of it.
That's the hardest part for that, is me running up and down, because I'm on the wrong side from the main tank, so I'm running up and down the, like, where am I enraged to Haima you?
Mm-hmm.
Pray
Yeah.
that the other healer's willing to waste a GCD on regen or something.
Oh yeah, I throw a Haima over there right when it starts, because usually you're in range, and then I hit my Sotera like a little bit after. I'm like, all right, let me just hit that, but still not enough healing, but it'll get something over there. But yeah, and then what was it? You come back together, and there's some beefy AoEs in there. Again, it's the left or the right side, right? Sure
There's
Thunder
Midnight in there somewhere as well.
Mm-hmm.
The stack spreads on your
Right.
guardians.
Right. I'm trying to think if there's anything really big that happens right before sunrise, because sunrise is the mechanic.
Sunrise
It's
is the thing to talk about.
Left, right, and
Yeah.
a raid wide, and nothing's happened in phase 2 before sunrise.
Yeah. Yeah, sunrise is it. It is literally the mechanic of the fight. It is breaking people. It is destroying who they are as a raider, and causing lots of anger and frustration in Party Finder. And it's the great debate: uptime or normal sunrise, right? That is literally it. It tears apart so many people. You go in there and you're just like, no, normal's the right way. No, uptime's the right way. And you always end up with a mix of people who have done it one way but not the other way. And you fucking wipe everybody. Because one, you go towards the side of the tower. One, you don't. Right?
They're exactly the same, with the exact same fail rate, in my experience.
Yep.
It's normal's better, guys. It is.
Uptime is less movement, and you just... I don't
Uptime,
know.
people F it up so much because of how precise it is. Even if you're right, you die because someone was a pixel off on their side, and it just doesn't line up right. Normal, you get the gist of it, and you knock it out every single time. Okay?
I
And
think
then
normal's more intuitive, because it's like point the thing away from the tower.
Yeah. You just have to figure out like, where that cozy spot is, which is right where that prong is coming off the cannon, and then you're good with it. But it's so bad, people want to skip it.
Yeah. Skip sunrise or disband. Simple.
Yeah. That's
Done.
It's so
People are just mad because it's 13 minutes into the fight or whatever it is,
Yeah.
12 minutes.
and
That's the
it's
only issue.
So what makes it so frustrating is that it's not just that it's 13 minutes into the fight, but it's 13 minutes in the fight. It's mentally demanding, and that you gotta look at where the towers are gonna spawn. You gotta follow a priority, but then you could do all of that right, and because the other person baiting their tower, baiting it correctly, is a pixel off of the wall, they clip you, and you're going to wipe.
Mhm.
That's what feels so bad about it, is how tight the positioning is, and without really clear markings that are easy to spot in the middle of all the chaos of it to position yourself correctly, it feels really bad to do the mechanic correctly and still die because you were slightly positioned wrong.
Yeah. And I mean, in chat we're talking about this, and I brought this up a couple times. It feels a little bit like that heavy-handed, here's the last hard mechanic, P7S kind of scenario where they put all these like more complicated stuff at the end of the fight, and when you wipe on it after a very long fight, no checkpoint, no anything, it just makes you angry. When you wiped on Caloric 2, you'd get back there after like 7 minutes, 8 minutes or something. This is again like in the higher end range where you get there and you have to start all over. Everyone has to not mess up all the other mechanics, because every time someone messes up, you're like, well, our DPS is a little bit lower, and they're freaking out because it's their first clear. They don't realize how it's not really that difficult to have a couple people die, right, or mess up or whatever else. But once you get to it, if someone messes up, sometimes you get by, all right? Sometimes you can make it past the mechanic, res everybody up, healer LB3, and somehow make it through it sometimes. But
Plus
it's just
the healer LB3 into getting knocked off the arena. I love that.
Yep. Every time.
oh man. But I feel like it since it's right on that edge of if you had really good DPS, skip it. If you don't have really good DPS, it's just going to piss off everybody. Party Finder never skips it. Every time I see skip sunrise in there, I'm like, this is a fucking joke. You're not going to clear with that group. No way. If you see clear sunrise or skip sunrise in the group, it is not going to clear. The reason they say skip is because most people in there don't know how to do it. And they're hoping they can just squeeze past it. So please, you could get in there and try it, but I have not seen a successful skip sunrise group.
For that party I was talking about where the Viper was in 700 tome gear and I died in the poll and everything else, that was a skip sunrise party.
Was it? Yeah. Jeez, dude. Maybe you get lucky. I don't know. I don't see
not
it.
with 700 gear, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's such a... There is a better strat to it, which is the mix between uptime, I think, and normal, which gives you a decent chunk of safe space. But it adds extra level of planning and priority and thinking during that people don't want to add in. So we're probably never going to see it like actually become popular in Party Finder because everybody's going to be doing normal or they're going to be doing uptime, whatever. It's sad because it's not going to evolve into what's the better strategy. It's going to evolve into skip the mechanic because everybody's 730.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh well, I wish I actually think the mixed part is probably the actual ideal solution that Square Enix was hoping people would find.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. But it sucks that there was another method to it that passed for Party Finder. But okay, Ken, did they say you had a couple more minutes?
No.
No, they said you gotta go down. All right. Fine, guys. We've talked about this in the sense of Party Finder the entire time, so that covers most of it. We can go ahead and start wrapping up. Sorry, Kins, guys, for being so forcive. Hopefully they don't kick you out over it. But we can go ahead and start wrapping up if you guys like. I feel like this has been fun, dude. It's been 2 hours, and it really doesn't feel like it's been 2 hours. This has been the first new tier in over a year. And it's been exciting to talk about it because it's a new expansion, new jobs, new everything. So I'm interested to see what they do in the future. We'll have more shows, guys, about Savage and about this kind of content before we get into Ultimate and everything else. So don't worry too much about that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. So I guess we can go and start doing our sign-offs. Because of Ken and his static. You can go first, Ken.
Okay. Well, yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you want to hang out with me, I stream every day except for usually Sunday, but for this week it's Saturday. Yeah, you can find me on my Twitch under my portrait. That's just I told you.
I told you. Yeah. Sound like such a toxic asshole, dude. Like literally your name makes me think, oh, this is a toxic asshole, but you're every time I talk to you, I'm like, oh,
I am.
Yeah. Jeez. All right. Hector.
I'm Hector. The videos are on YouTube. Don't go to my Twitch. It's decorative. I'm probably going to go hibernate for the next 6 or 7 months until something new comes out in the game. Shout out to my FC, the Zodiac Braves, Nusi, Jajanji, Mog, Millis, Luna, Faust, everybody else watching. Thank you guys. Love ya.
All right. Yeah. Bit.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Frosty. This is really fun. Cool to be on the show. And you can find me on Twitch. I stream once in a while. Mainly just been doing my re-clears on my main and my alt. Usually get those done in like 2 days, but and then I make a bunch of YouTube videos just talking about the game. So
it was awesome getting to meet you and know more about you and one of the newer content creators coming out here, right? Yep. I like to have some new faces on the show too. Not always the same people, but I get kind of addicted to some people, and I like to bring them on a lot, and so...
No, I appreciate it. It's awesome. Thank you.
Ken, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you for all the world race and everything. Thank you for coming on and talking about all this stuff. Hector, thanks for coming out of your hole for me. I appreciate it. Putting your mic up on some books and just making it, whatever setting for this. So thank you so much for that too. And thank you everybody for watching. This has been a blast. Even though we focus just a lot on these fights, there's a lot to talk about it. We'll have more shows like this in the future. I hope you guys look forward to watching them. And please make sure to follow all these wonderful people on the show. They're fantastic. All right, guys. See you next time. Until then, sure, I'll say it. Stay frosty. Bye. Everybody say bye. No, say it, but with more heart.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, gal.